right. Well, welcome everybody. Hey, Sean, how's it going?
Good, Kat. How are you?
Good. Hey, we're here tonight. It's Monday.
Cheers.
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 Having ourselves a little drink, and we wanted to talk about some super important stuff today.
Indeed.
So, Sean, why don't you tell me what you're going to talk about today?
All right. Well, so we are in a hot seller's market, right? Mm-hmm. So we're going to talk about the best ways to get your offer accepted.
Okay, cool. And I'm also going to talk about how your lender can play a part in that as well.
Awesome.
To partner with your real estate agent.
Super cool.
So I kind of figured we could go back and forth with a couple of ideas on this one. So I'll talk about one. Maybe you can toss in one.
Yeah, sounds great.
Just kind of see how it goes.
I love it.
Thanks for joining us, buddy.
He's going to steal the show.
Yep. Okay, go.
Cheers.
Cheers. Cheers. All right, here we go.
All right.
So,
why don't you get started?
Yeah, I'll get started. So the first thing I would say is making sure that you partner with a lender who is partnered with your agent, who's going to be a good partner.
And why is that important?
Because they need to make sure that if you're making offers on houses, that they're communicating to your real estate agent about what's happening, and they're willing to also call the listing agent to let them know that you're qualified, that your lender is communicative and can be there, and that you're ready to go for the deal. So it's really important to keep them looped into process. A lot of times listing agents have a ton of offers, and they might have this pile, and if your lender is willing to call in and be like, hey, I'm the lender for such and such borrower. They just put a offer in on this house that you have, and I just want to let you know they're qualified, their assets look good, their credit looks good. We've pre-qualified them, really pre-qualified them.
Good.
Didn't just hand them a letter, right? And
you got this in the mail. Well done.
Well done. Yeah. I'm here for you. We're here for you. I'm communicative. I'm going to help you through the process. And just want to let you know, we hope that you move forward with our offer.
See, and I like that because it's so transparent.
Yeah.
You know, especially between buyer and seller agents, right? Mm-hmm. If everybody's on the same page, and they're pre-qualified and everything else, man, what a smooth transaction that is, right?
Yeah. So I think that one's really important, and it's something that really any lender could do, but your lender just needs to make time to do it.
Cool.
So super important. Gotta get the cat hair off my face.
Itchy. That's you. Awesome.
So, what do you have for me on the real estate agents?
Oh man, so crazy market. Mm-hmm. Sellers get, like you said, tons of offers,
Totally.
and sometimes even before they're listed, right?
Yeah.
So I saw a listing the other day that went up, and literally within the first 12 hours there were 12 offers, and it was crazy. Like I had an investor who was looking to buy this property in McMinnville, and at the price point of $350, he was like, "I'm in." It ended up at $465.
Oh my gosh!
So well over $100,000.
Wow!
So above asking price, right? So one of the first things to consider is what is your best and final, because properties move so fast right now.
Yeah.
And if you are in a position where you can get to the appraisal value, and even if there's a gap, if you can make sure that there's cash for the appraisal gap, you're going to be good to go. If you're thinking that the asking price is the be-all, end-all, that's not going to happen in this market.
Right. Real estate agents are usually pretty smart, right? They're going to price the house in a place that's going to create that kind of like demand, right? It's going to cause a lot of people to be interested, and they're going to get into some sort of bidding war situation. Totally. Which is great for the person who's listing the house.
You want the frenzy.
Yeah, you want the frenzy.
So, as a buyer's agent, what I tell my clients is expect that, and sometimes those offers really, they don't have to be $100,000 over asking, right? Sometimes $2,000 to $3,000 over asking. Just be prepared that that's pretty much the narrative right now.
Right now,
you're going to have to do that until there's a shift, and it kind of comes back to a balanced perspective between buyers and sellers.
For sure. And if you have the right real estate agent, they should understand that and be able to have a good pulse on the market and exactly know what's needed in order to get your offer accepted.
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like Nixon and his fireside talks with the dog.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Cheers, buddy.
Yes. So I have another one, which is just making sure that you're working with a lender who can get your closing disclosure out as soon as possible. Gus, June. So closing disclosure has to be sent out within 3 days of closing on your loan. And in order to get a closing disclosure out, you have to have the loan underwritten.
Okay.
At least, partially. At least you have maybe some final conditions to satisfy. So a good lender should be able to, as soon as you put in your offer, you have an accepted purchase contract, and you have it in, really should be able to get that out within the same week, if not within the same couple of days. Mm-hmm. And what that means is it just allows you to be able to not have to worry about that as you get towards a 3-week, a 4-week closing. That step's done. You're not having to worry if you still have this closing disclosure that's going to delay your closing another 3 days. So
gotcha.
It just kind of helps make sure that the process can go smoothly and you're not waiting on that closing disclosure as another thing that could hold you up.
And is that something that's communicated between all parties then?
Yep, exactly.
Okay.
So your lender should be letting you know exactly what the process is going to look like, what they're going to submit. They're going to send over a closing disclosure to you. They'll have you review the numbers. They'll go over what's going to be different from your final numbers, kind of talk about that with you. Usually they do it through like an e-sign option, have you sign it.
So easy.
Right?
I love it.
Exactly.
Yep.
And then when you get your final closing disclosure, then they'll review the differences with you, talk about what your closing disclosure was, what it is now. Typically changes are stuff like, how much taxes and insurance you're collecting, those sort of things, that interest that you're paying on the mortgage, depending on your day of closing. Those sort of things should be your minor changes that you'll see. But you'll have some changes, but a good lender should be able to get your closing disclosure out right away. What's called the CD as well, you may hear it called. It's not a compact disc.
But it comes on a little disc. No, I'm kidding.
They should be able to make sure that you're good and get that out for you right away. And that's benefiting all parties.
That's awesome. Well, you talked about conditions, right? Mm-hmm. So in the real estate business, we call them contingencies.
Yes. Okay.
And here's one of the funnest parts about a seller's market, especially in the one we're in now. Eliminate that idea. Okay. You want a clean, no contingency offer, which means you're not going to ask the seller to carry half the closing costs, right?
Okay. Yep.
Because they're going to have 10 other offers that don't ask for that, and they're going to go, that's better for me, right?
Okay.
So another thing, if there's minor repairs, right?
Okay.
They're minor repairs.
Right, like something like I'm just trying to. I've seen a couple before where, like, maybe the laundry room needs to be repainted or something. And maybe it's not perfect, or there is a small tear somewhere on a carpet that people will ask, like,
it's coming up a little bit or something.
Something small, minor. I mean, yes, it'd be great to have that fixed before you move in, but might be something you might want to just be like, not worth it.
Where that truly matters is if it comes through the inspection and it's grievous, right? Or the appraiser is going to devalue the property because of that.
Right.
Then that's a conversation, but that's your knowledge as a buyer, right?
Yeah.
But for the minor things, so whether it's carpet or paint, just something that, that color scheme I don't like, paint this.
Fix the landscaping. I want the grass redone.
Nobody is at that point at this point because there's somebody who's going to swoop in and take that property from you.
Yeah.
So what you need to do is look at a property, and you have the right to look at every property you want. But if you find one that's ticking off ticking off the boxes. I know what you're saying. Most of the boxes.
Yeah.
Say, is this a 90%er for me? Mm-hmm. That's where you should move, right? Yeah. And say it's 90% because of this. It'd be 100% because of this, and that 10% really doesn't make that much of a difference to lose that property by adding a contingency to the offer.
Well, especially how competitive it is, to say, like, you're either going to get the property because you submit an offer with none of the contingencies for those small little minor repair things to be completed that aren't going to affect the value of the home.
Totally.
Or you end up with no home because you asked for those things. I mean, you kind of have to make that choice to 100%. Do that. Yeah.
Yep.
And the same thing on the lending side. You can't have an appraisal that has has things that are as is, or things that need to be fixed before the property is as is to a condition. So a couple of good examples would be if you have a house that was built in like the 1970s, so before 1970, you're going to have lead-based paint. So if you have peeling or cracking paint around, like more commonly you see it on the outside of a home, around windows, that sort of thing, those things have to be fixed.
Yep. It's the best tasting paint, to be honest.
It's the best.
Yeah.
You would know, Sean. Little things like that, like you can't have, electrical wires exposed. The stuff that is safe and sound, the safety concern, those things have to be fixed.
Indeed.
But if you're talking about, like you said, carpet, maybe the wood floors aren't exactly perfect. Maybe there's a hole in the wall because someone's dog went head first. They got wolfhounds, or a child maybe went head first into something.
Man.
Those are minor.
Yep.
And in the end of the day, if the house meets everything that you're looking for, those are the things you might have to say.
Exactly.
Maybe we just don't
Absolutely.
do those.
Yep.
Okay.
100%.
I have a two. I'll just add another two here.
Sure.
So I would say making sure that you're working with a lender who can get you a fast closing if needed. Now, as a lender, if you're a real estate agent who's always submitting 2-week closings to you, you might want to reconsider your relationship because it is very stressful to do something that quick. But if you have a circumstance where you have a buyer that you've been working with and you have a situation where the offer could be accepted, where you could get it in a week faster, make sure your lender can do that. And your lender should be able to do that. The average clear to close for most of the lenders we work with is 17 days or less. So you definitely should be looking at offers that are around 3 weeks. A month is probably stretching it. But your lender should be able to close that fast.
Okay. So is a lending close a little different than the full close with the title company? Or does it coincide to the same
so we're
time?
talking about clear to close.
Clear to close.
So 17 days clear to close, meaning that, hey, we are ready to send the documents to title.
Perfect.
And title is saying, okay, let's just schedule the time for you to work with the notary or to come in.
Awesome.
Yep,
Okay.
exactly. So
Great.
17 days clear to close is what the average is for most of the lenders we're working with, which is great.
Sweet.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Your lender also should be making sure that you have a clean and accurate pre-approval, kind of really scrubbing your file before you submit the offer in for your house to make sure that you're set and thinking about the things that might create a problem and addressing those. So let's say you have an employment gap and they know that looking at your history that you have this 3-month employment gap where maybe you were in between jobs or maybe you're going to school or something. They should know that they're going to need some sort of explanation to the lender to explain that gap. So they should be asking for the things that they know are going to be a potential problem in your file and making sure they have it clean and crisp and ready to go and that your pre-approval isn't subject to all of these things that they haven't checked out and you've made an offer and got it accepted and now you're scrambling to try to get it closed in 3 weeks.
That's got to be stressful for you. It's got to be stressful for the customer, right?
It's not fun for anybody.
No.
So it's better to just make sure that your lender is getting you a clean pre-approval and that you're really pre-approved. Some of the lenders we work with even can allow us to do a pre-underwrite where we actually submit the loan file and we get approval. It'll actually list the remaining conditions that are available and we can print that out for you and give it to you so you can submit it with your offer on your house. So you can say, look, my borrower is not only pre-qualified, but they've been pre-underwritten.
There you go.
And these are the only things remaining for them to clear close.
Let's see, and I think that actually helps with the offers,
Totally.
Because if somebody is ready to go, that's where the seller wants.
Yeah.
Right? That's what the seller wants. And so there's a couple different ways to look at this. Number one is your EDM, which is your earnest money deposit.
Okay.
If you know you're in a proper position with your lender, you've been cleared to underwrite, cleared to do whatever, you can go forward and your earnest money, you can make a significant contribution to that offer just by upping the percentage of what that is. And the average is 1% to 3% typically. Yeah. Sometimes it's a very nominal amount, not necessarily in this market, right? Okay. So 1% to 3% is kind of where we're at. If you can exceed that, it shows financial solvency. Right. It shows that you're very interested in this property. And to the seller, it's telling them, this is my person, because they have all their ducks in a row. They have the right people taking care of them on both sides. Right. And we can get this deal done and it's going to benefit both sides, both parties.
Totally.
So,
I think that's really smart. Okay.
So, and the last thing that I had really with this is just basically trusting in the process, trusting your lender, trust in your agent, because when you look at negotiating in this market, you want somebody who is very skilled in that conversation, right? You want to know that they're very prepared to go to battle for you, that you can trust them and they have your best interest in mind, right? So if there's going to be, oh, we have a bidding war, right? Well, what's your strategy? We ask questions of you as the buyer. We know what your position is before we go in blindly, and then we can start talking all of the little points that will get you into number one position with that seller.
Okay.
And so
that's super important.
Trusting your realtor, trademark, is very important. So
I love it, John. And I just add, like, you said you got to trust your realtor, and you should trust your lender as well, and make sure that you're working with someone who has great communication, someone who can be available for your realtor, or for you if you have questions that come up. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've had situations that come up where someone goes and sees a house on a Saturday and they have a question. They are wondering, or their real estate agent's wondering, hey, look, the house is listed for $350,000, but we know that the house is going to go to $425,000. Like, where can our buyer get that? Are they good? Are they pre-approved for that amount? And so we might need to adjust and change the pre-approval letter, because the offers are due by end of day. Typically Mondays is a pretty common thing.
Time is of the essence in this market.
And so they want to be able to make sure they have all of their ducks in a row, and they're not waiting until Monday at 5 o'clock to get those things done. Mondays are typically the busiest day for lenders and real estate agents.
Absolutely.
For the market in general. And so, having a lender who can be available on the weekends, obviously with a reason, like, I'm not asking people to, like, give up their lives and their children. I mean, I have kids, you have kids and lives and families, but you should have somebody who's going to be in your corner and be available. I mean, I get text messages all the time asking me to help with something. And absolutely.
I think that's the thing. And that's part of trust. Like, if you can reach out without taking advantage at 2 a.m.,
right.
We're absolutely here to help. We will take that text, we'll take that call, we'll do whatever it takes to make sure that we're your best representative. And I think anywhere you go, that's how it should be. And if you're not getting that, reevaluate. But in this market, you want somebody who's proactive and really good at making your presence known to the right people.
Yeah, and this kind of reminds me of that conversation we had in one of our prior videos.
Okay.
You should watch one of those. Talking about why a real estate agent is important versus doing a for sale by owner. Having someone in your corner, someone who understands the ins and outs of negotiation, especially in a really difficult market, to get an offer accepted. I mean, I work with a lot of discouraged borrowers who have just kind of like, well, maybe it's just not the time. I'll wait a couple of months and see maybe if the market calms down a little bit. But having a good agent in your corner who can be like, no, we're hurrah, let's go, huzzah, moving forward. Sure. We're going to keep looking. We're going to find things for you, and have that good communication and keep you in the game.
Yeah, that's very important.
Yeah,
you got to trust the process. I think that's my phrase of the day. Got to trust the process.
Cheers to that, Sean. Trust the process.
All right.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. We're going to do some more videos. If you have any suggestions, you should comment below. Tell us if you have any video topics you'd like to hear us talk about in the future.
Definitely.
All right.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks
Appreciate
so much, Sean. All right. Have a good day. Bye.
Bye-bye.